like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Hi, I'm John Manos, and welcome to this edition live on the showroom floor at Ventura TV. You're watching Connect with me on MeTV Fresno, Comcast 187 and 43.6, and today it's Ask an Expert Day. We're talking about mental health disorders. What does that mean? That's a very broad term. If you got any questions, especially during this holiday season, a lot of people get depressed, they don't have family around. 436 MeTV, option 11. Don't wait through the message. Back with our program in just a moment.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
And welcome back to the program. Glad to have you along on this Wednesday morning Ask an Expert here on Connect with me on MeTV Fresno. Hope you call in today because a very interesting topic, and it is about mental health. We are in the midst of the holiday season. Of course, Christmas Tree Lane opened up last night. Thanksgiving is past. A lot of people are putting Christmas tree decoration or decorating their Christmas tree, putting all the decorations out front on the lawn, on the roof, around the house, indoors and out. And it is the holiday season. All you have to do is walk into one of the stores, and either your spirits will be lifted or you'll be severely depressed because it is the holiday season. So take your pick. Is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? You know, it's a tough time of year for a lot of people because they have no family, no friends. Not everybody, but I'm talking about some people. And a lot of people are suffering right now because they don't have their health. They might be alone, might be by themselves in the hospital or whatever. So it's a tough time of year all the way around. Also, we'll spend some time about talking about addiction. There are many types of addictions, not just alcohol and drugs. We'll talk about that. Remember the phone number, 436 MeTV option 11. Now, think back. I know a lot of you that watch MeTV on a regular basis remember this movie made out of Hollywood, of course, back in the 70s. It was called Network. There's a network news anchor. His name slips my mind just off the top of my head, but he got on the set. He was ready to deliver the news on a national level, and he was just as mad as hell, and he wasn't going to take it anymore. I want to play a small clip, and it might refresh your memory.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!
Relax, Brad. Sit in your seat. Don't stand up. Live in our studio right now is Dr. Bradley Wajda. He is a psychiatrist. He is here to talk about, hey, some of those people that are just fed up and they're not going to take it anymore. They have had it up to here. And maybe you're one of those people. I don't know. If you are, call in 436-MeTV, option 11. And of course, we'll talk about some other serious topics like addictions. There's so many addictions that that are going around these days. Not only drug and alcohol. Hey, there's an internet addiction. There's gambling addictions. There are other addictions that we can talk about. 436-MeTV, option 11. We're glad to have you along, and it's a very interesting topic on this Wednesday morning. We're back with our program in just a momento.
Remember me?
After practicing law, Raymond Burr fought crime.
You have the right to an attorney.
As a hard-boiled detective on wheels,
Ain't it the truth?
his name is Ironside.
Perhaps you wouldn't mind saying it again.
His name is Ironside.
All right, now you've said it.
Nothing slows him down.
I want to see this one firsthand.
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
Well, what are we waiting for?
All right, I think that wonderful performance in that movie called Network that was made back in the 70s, I believe it was 1974, 75, was Peter Finch. I wonder how many takes it took him to do that. Maybe it was just the first take, who knows. A terrific performance. Hey, we've got one here in the studio, Dr. Bradley Wajda. I got that name right.
You did.
All right.
You
So
did.
what did you think about not only his performance, Peter Finch, in that movie Network, but you have a private practice. Do you see people like this on a regular basis that are just fed up and they're just not going to take it anymore? They've had it up to here.
I see people who do perform. They come into practice. But yeah, anger is a primal drive. And a lot of times what's behind anger is that sense of a loss of control. So
Is that what that's all about? Is it control?
Sure it is. Absolutely.
They've lost control of what? Their lives or what?
It can be a variety. Well, primarily it's their lives. It's what's happening to them in their life. I mean, you get to a point where you feel like you have no say in what's happening to you. You feel like that you don't have control over the direction of your life. Could be occupationally, could be socially, but the bottom line is you finally lash out. You're trying to take control by force.
Do you see some people that want to take it a step further and get violent?
Always. I mean,
Really?
you can't be in psychiatry and not see people that take it to that next step and want to get violent.
With who?
Well, domestic violence is huge. Random acts of violence we see happening. You look at this new game Knockout that they're talking about, particularly back east, where innocent victims are blindsided.
Oh, that's where somebody is walking innocently down the sidewalk, minding their own business, and somebody comes up from the side or behind and knocks them over, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And, think about
But I'm not sure that's associated with anger. I think that's...
Well, I would disagree. I would say
Why?
it's control. They are asserting a sense of mastery over somebody else.
But it's almost like a gang initiation. They're doing it for
Well-
fun. How do you know that they're angry?
Well, you don't know that it's fun. What we're talking about now is a sense of power.
But I'm saying
power
it's
is
hard to
control.
pinpoint it unless you talk to those people. You know what I mean?
Well, we're not going to be able to pinpoint anything we're talking about without talking. I mean, if we're talking specifics, we have
Yeah.
to talk in general.
I see.
And I'm saying in general, any act of violence, for the most part, especially in a sense like that, is to gain a sense of mastery. I mean,
A sense of control.
and power.
Because you feel that at some place in their body, in their mind, they're angry about something.
Well, take it a next step. Why are they a member of a gang? They need the identity. If they
want to be noticed.
If they stand alone, they're standing alone. I mean, they usually come from a broken home, which is a very dysfunctional situation.
Wait a minute. Isn't that a lame excuse? I've heard
well,
that
I'm not
so
giving
much.
it as an excuse.
No,
I'm
I know,
saying
I know.
it's
But
it's a
do we have to
statistic.
blame something?
We're
Do
not
we have to-
blaming it.
All right.
We're not blaming
A
it.
lot of people come from broken homes. That doesn't mean they go out and commit crimes.
Well, exactly. I mean, for crying out loud, if we were going to look at my background, I should be making lampshades out of human skin, but I don't. So, my point being that these people join a gang for that sense of identity, and it's a sense of power. It's empowering.
So did you come from a broken home?
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, okay. See, and you turned out okay. At least
As far as we know.
far.
I mean, I'm not going to confess on live TV to anything.
Well, it seems to me like you turned out pretty good. You're doing well, and you got your all your marbles. You got your act together, and
So yeah.
I don't want to go any further than that. But
Okay.
So, how many of these people have you seen? Do you think this is rampant throughout the country?
Well, I
This
mean,
kind of behavior.
I've even written about, we see so many acts of violence, socially, people talk about the mass violence that we've seen over the years, and there's been debate as to whether is that really more prevalent now than in the past, or is it just the fact that we have social media and mass technology and we know more about it. But the bottom line is...
of course, there's more than one way to bully someone, too. It's over the internet now.
Yeah.
Texting. You can bully somebody by texting. What are some of the other ways? Twitter.
Well, cyberbullying.
Cyberbullying is what it's called.
And there's a couple of ways
Yeah.
of doing that. There's even something called trolling, which is where you throw out something very provocative that's untrue about a business or a person that's meant to demean their character.
Right.
Or their reputation, and sometimes that becomes viral and it does exactly what the perpetrator intended.
But that's usually done in the cyber world.
Oh,
Usually.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and people, and actually teens and other people have committed suicide over this. We've
yes,
seen those
have.
instances over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And so this guy, by the way, the name of the actor, Peter Finch, in that movie, this dates back to the 70s. How has treating people like this or talking to people like this back in the 70s, and this movie was made in the 70s,
Right.
how has it changed over the last 40 years? How do we deal with people like this as opposed to how we dealt with them in the 70s?
Well, in the 1970s, which actually predates me a little bit in terms of treatment, the tendency was to rely more heavily on medication. At that point in time, insurance was more
Makes
generous.
sense.
Well,
Makes
it was
sense.
more generous in the amount of treatment they provided.
Yes.
When Kingsview had a hospital in Reedley. I remember even back in the mid-'80s, their average length of stay for a patient in the hospital was over 90 days. Well, you would never see that anymore. I mean, now
Well,
patients...
the insurance doesn't want to pay for it. That's
Right. Patients go in for 3-4 days,
And they're
maybe
out.
a week. Yeah, and then they're out.
Yeah, so that's the difference. And so are we less medicated now than we were in the 70s? Or more?
Actually, I think we're unfortunately more dependent on medication to try to keep people out of the hospital. You don't have that latitude of putting them in the hospital for months at a time and working with them.
if someone feels exactly the way Peter Finch did in that movie, and by the way, we didn't show part of the scene, what happened after that, all those people across the country that were watching him at the time on television, they actually went out to their windows and yelled out the window, "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore."
Right.
Does that mean a person is crazy?
No, not at all. I mean, it's a release. I mean, it means you're just venting your frustration.
And that's okay.
We've all done that.
That's okay.
Well, exactly. I mean, you're not hurting yourself. You're
Yeah.
not hurting other people.
Right. Okay. We got a call coming in. Good morning. You're on Connect with Me. Your question quickly, please.
Good morning. There's somebody in the congregation of the church I go to and having a hard time at the holidays, harder than any other time of the year. I'm always grappling, looking for some words of advice or encouragement for this person. He's got physical impairment, and mentally I think he's all there, but prone to depression. Is there something that your guest today might offer that I could put out there for this poor soul in the congregation that maybe might lift his spirits and
Good question.
turn his mood around?
Good question.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you're talking to one of the few psychiatrists in the area that happens to be a born-again Christian, but when I do therapy with patients, one of the things I've noticed out of doing psychiatry for well over 26 years is one of the problems people have is what's called an incongruence between their worldview or their belief system and the way they live their life. For example, if and I have no idea what kind of congregation you're talking about, but let's assume for a second this person's worldview is, hey, I believe in God. I believe God created people. I believe that people are here in order to make a choice about whether they want to believe and follow God or not. And then when they die, they go on to heaven. I'll keep it really basic, but let's say that's the belief system. Then you look at their life and you say, okay, well, if that's your belief system, you know the ending of the book. You know how the story ends. The only issue is you do not know basically the means by which you're going to get there. So it's like you're an unfinished Bible story. So looking at that, you have to ask yourself the question, if you've got this depression, which absent any medical causes, I usually label depression as the negative anticipation of the unknown. Well, if your belief system is, hey, if I belong to God, I'm going to go to heaven, I'm ultimately going to be, happy, then look at how you're living your life. Is this depression really truly the negative anticipation of the unknown? Or is this, where are you in really adhering to your belief system? What are you succumbing to in terms of your everyday living?
I see what you're saying.
On my radio show, I call it, and it's been called before by Zig Ziglar, stinking thinking. In
other words, your belief system and how you live your daily life do not walk hand in hand. They don't coincide.
Exactly.
They're like night and day, total opposites.
I see that as a huge problem for a lot of people.
But we all do that. We've all done that, and we all do that. I mean,
Well,
I'll
sure
bet
we
even
do.
you do that.
And so what you do is you just check it. You realize it, you think about it, and you say, wait a minute. Anxiety is the fear of the unknown, but the bottom line is, based on my faith and my belief, I believe that when my personal Bible story is done, that I'm going to be victorious. So,
all right, another call coming in. Your question quickly, please. Caller.
Hi. How do I deal with my preteen daughter who bases her life on Facebook, like by how many likes she gets? She had some questionable stuff. I made her take it off, and now she's changed her Facebook face to something that's even worse. It's sad. She says, how do I deal with this?
That's a good question, because you pass that off as just being, it's just a preteen. She's only a kid, or is this a real problem?
It's a real problem. It's been labeled as Facebook depression. Without seeing her, without evaluating her, I can't speak to her situation specifically, but I can tell you that...
And so how can a child that young, preteen, be depressed?
Because they're deriving their...
What are they depressed? What do they have to be depressed about?
There are a lot of issues they can be depressed about. One thing is their social standing, and a lot of times
that's important.
And your social standing is reflected in how many likes you get, how much attention do you get when you make a Facebook post.
Yeah.
For example.
We're running long here. We've got to take a break. Can we take a break and then we'll come back? Okay.
Sure.
All right. Talking to Dr. Bradley Wajda. He is a psychiatrist. He also has his own radio show. What's the name of that radio program?
Psyched.
Okay, I'm psyched to be here.
Yeah.
If you got a call, if you got a complaint, you can call in. If you've had it up to here and you're not going to take it anymore, call in. Back with our show in just a moment.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, will help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
All right, we're back here on the show on Connect With Me. Let's see if we can take this call. You're on the show, Connect With Me, and you're... Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, hello. You got to turn your sound down.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for you. Sorry.
Okay. We're ready for you.
Okay. I'm calling in because I'm actually a mental health patient.
Okay.
And I have bipolar disorder. And about the incongruency or whatever that which causes depression. I have been told by more than one psychiatrist, I've been hospitalized in the past, that it is having to do with the serotonin and the dopamine in your brain. The transmitter isn't working right.
Well, well, let me jump in real quick and remind you when I was talking earlier, I mentioned absent any medical cause. There are a lot of things that cause depression.
Can you relate specifically to her call and her question?
Well, for example, she says she's bipolar. I'm going to assume that's accurate, although in my general experience that's often misdiagnosed. But when it's bipolar, yes, it's a chemical cause. And
Chemical in your brain.
Chemicals in your brain.
Serotonin? I don't know.
Well, it's an interesting relationship because there are people who hang their hat on saying, well,
let's define what bipolar is real quick, and then just address her concerns real quick because
well,
we're running short on time.
I can't do bipolar real quick,
Well,
I'll address the chemical aspect.
Just tell us what bipolar is in 10 seconds. What
can't be done. So I'm going to talk about.
It's mood swings. Is that right? Up and down.
No,
it's not. Okay.
if you label it as that, that's where the misdiagnosis comes in.
Okay.
So that's why I don't want to leave it hanging. But yes, serotonin can play a part, but I will tell you that the bottom line is...
it's a chemical imbalance in the brain.
The bottom line is that all successful antidepressants result in a decrease in cortisol, which is your body's stress hormone.
Okay.
Now, some of those antidepressants target serotonin, some of them target dopamine and norepinephrine. All of those are neurotransmitters in your brain.
Right. Okay. So bipolar is a chemical imbalance. Mood swings up and down.
Bipolar disorder are mood swings that occur in such a way that, because rapid mood swings throughout the day are not bipolar. Bipolar requires, if you're going to be bipolar manic, you have to have a manic episode. A manic episode...
Where you go way down.
No, is way up.
Oh, it's way up.
Manic episodes are way up and they have to last at least a week.
Okay.
And
then at some point you go way down.
Not always. You can be bipolar manic.
But you can.
Well, yeah. Do you want this definition? The definition is all you need is one manic episode to be bipolar manic.
Gotcha.
You can, if you have bipolar that's with major depression, that's a depressive episode that has to last at least 2 weeks in duration. And then there's bipolar type 2 that always has a major depressive disorder that lasts at least 2 weeks, and then has what's called a hypomanic. It's an up, but not so high that it impairs your level of functioning, and that has to last at least 4 days.
All right, quickly, because we're running out of time, so we got to keep these short. Depression during the holidays, how do we get through them?
Wow. That's like saying cancer. How do you cure it? I mean, there's so many different causes of depression. It could
Just
be.
Give us the short version.
There is no short. Come and see me.
No, we need to tell our viewers.
But I'm
trying to inform our viewers.
There are some basic rules about depression, but everybody needs to know that.
But how do we get through the holidays if we don't have family, if we're sick?
Well, you're making a few assumptions. What if it's seasonal affective disorder and it's got nothing to do with the fact that family or holidays? Right. What it has to do with is the length of the day.
Okay.
So that's going to be light therapy is the primary treatment, but I'm saying anybody who has depression needs to be eating a balanced diet, getting good exercise, paying attention to sleep hygiene so they're getting good sleep. They need to surround themselves with positive people. Those are basic things that anybody with depression needs to do.
All right, talking with Dr. Bradley Wajda. He's a psychiatrist. We're back with our show in just a moment.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Back with our show here, Dr. Bradley Wajda. He's a psychiatrist. We got about 4 minutes. Is that how much time we have? 4 minutes? 4 minutes in the show. Okay, so what do you want to talk about here? Do we want to talk about panic attacks, mental disorders, depression, bipolar we've touched on, addiction, gambling? What can we touch on in 4 minutes?
Let's go with addiction because, you know, addiction is huge. I mean, there are so many people affected by it. There are so many teens nowadays that are into prescription drug abuse. So there's some basic things. Children and adolescents are, they're going and staying at sleepovers at other people's houses, and they're going through the parents' medicine cabinets.
Right.
People go to open houses for when you've got a home up for sale, and they're going through the medicine cabinets. The issue being when people start using substances or anything to deal with stress, they can start gambling to deal with stress.
Right.
What they're doing is they're stifling any psychological development or utilization of their other coping skills.
Right.
So all of a sudden when they decide they want to stop, the major part of recovery from an addiction, any addiction, is one-on-one psychotherapy. There are a lot of people out there that believe in the 12-step program. They
Do
believe
you see
in
a lot
groups.
of these people in your practice?
A ton.
Really?
We, as I mentioned before we went on the air,
What's the biggest addiction that you see?
Well, it's going to, I think the biggest one across the nation, but it's not recognized because so many people engage in it without admitting it, is alcoholism. There are a lot of functioning alcoholics, and they won't admit to it.
But that's been going on for a long time, many years.
Sure. Opiate addiction is huge. Vicodin, Norco, Percocet.
Prescription drugs.
Absolutely prescription drugs, and then that bleeds over into the benzodiazepines, which are the Valium family.
Yeah.
And then the problem is when you get people hooked on an opiate, like a narcotic, Vicodin, all of a sudden...
maybe some people are in pain, too, and they need to take that stuff.
And then they become addicted.
And then they become addicted, right.
Right.
That's the problem.
And then, unfortunately, the cheaper version of an opiate is heroin. It's it's a lot cheaper than trying to maintain your habit via prescription drugs.
Right. How about meth use?
Meth is a big one. Meth is a big one. Although, just again, based on what I see running an addiction program, I'd have to say it's alcohol, opiates, and Valium, benzodiazepines.
What about internet addiction, sex addiction? Are these prevalent throughout our society?
Absolutely. And internet addiction is such a big deal that the new psychiatric reference guide that came out that details all of the diagnoses finally acknowledged internet addiction disorder.
Wow. And you see many of these patients, too, that have the same problem?
Absolutely.
And what are they addicted to on the internet?
Well, you know, some people are addicted to the pornography on the internet, but other people, they get addicted to the social media. They actually, one patient, not one of mine, but a patient described their life as just another open window. Their real life is just another open window compared to the windows that they have of their life in the computer.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. And so what do you do to help them? What do you try to, what's your advice to them?
Well, at that point, and again, it depends on why they're in the computer, but anytime you're dealing with somebody who's dealing with an addiction, there's a biochemical side, which is increased dopamine that that creates the craving, and you have to deal with that medically. But on the flip side, there's the psychotherapy, where you actually have to talk to them about their coping skills, look at, if their issue is social media and they're going on there to create their identity and their self-esteem, you have to help them create a real identity apart from the internet.
Right.
Yeah.
Sadly, we're out of time. I'm hoping you can come back.
Yeah.
At some point. We don't have enough time. It's only a half-hour show, and we're trying to hit all these topics. So
yeah, we were sort of failing out of the gate trying to do that. So,
hey, I appreciate your time coming in, Dr.
No
Bradley
problem.
Wajda.
No
I got your
problem.
name right. That's what I'm proud of most.
Very good, yeah.
Psychiatrist. Anyway, thank you for your phone calls here on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno. We're back with another edition tomorrow, and very interesting topic. We'll talk about the Fresno County Coroner and what's going on there with the county supervisors. Back with another edition tomorrow. See you then.